and you'll see a little message there. And so I'm going to put Marcia in the spotlight, and she's going to introduce our guests. So Marcia.
Hi, I want you all to know that one of the best parts of being on the board of directors has been visiting the Redlands branch. I've been there twice now. Last year, I was invited to their 75th Diamond celebration, and it was well attended by people in the community, the branch, college students. It was amazing. And then this fall, I came and had the opportunity to present some information about membership from the the California board. And that very day, they had a sign up of 35 new members in that one event. A couple of weeks before, they had 17 college students sign up for their CU program. So it is my wonderful honor and pleasure to introduce Amy Bissick, who is the membership VP, and Pam Ford, who are going to kick off the presentation from Redlands.
Great, thank you.
Hi, Amy.
I am going to share my screen. So let me make sure you can see that. Can you all see that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Great. Yes. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share our story of how our branch recently recruited a large number of members at our annual membership meeting. As mentioned, myself as membership VP and Pam will be speaking tonight during the presentation, and then Marilyn and Joyce have joined us for our Q&A session. So to give you a little bit of context, I'll share that our Redlands branch is now 250 members strong in a community of over 72,000 in our local area. We were established in 1947, and as Marcia mentioned, we have been, last year we celebrated our 75th year anniversary. As you can see, we too suffered from the ill effects of COVID with a membership drop during those years. But this year, we are reaping the benefits of consistent, ongoing efforts to build our brand in our community, to recruit new members, and of course, to retain our existing membership. So how do we do this? Well, we do it mostly through a keen focus on our AAUW mission initiatives. In addition to supporting both national and California mission initiatives, we operate a robust local offering of scholarships for local college students and high school women, as well as 2 STEM conferences that encourage over 800 girls, 8th grade girls, to pursue careers in higher paying STEM fields. Community brand awareness is also increased by our branch's involvement in community activism. And we generate a lot of membership loyalty simply by having a lot of fun in our social interest groups. And so you're probably wondering, how did we get this strong? Well, in truth, it's been through baby steps and baby steps. You know, honestly, it's just by putting one foot in front of the other day after day. So how did we do this? Well, first we make a concerted effort toward building the local AAUW brand. And that really acted as a catalyst to spur interest in our membership meeting. And that was followed by really a multi-touch engagement plan then to retain our members. And all of that ends up really driving our results. So as Marcia mentioned, to give the specific facts, there were 37 guests who joined us at our October membership meeting. And we're really proud about that. Let's go into all of the different kind of building blocks of how we made that happen to give you some perspective of the efforts that have been put forth in the last year or two. Recently, we joined the Redlands Chamber of Commerce, which really spurred us to form a branch community engagement committee. And that committee has members who then attend our Chamber of Commerce meetings to promote AUW, get our name out into the market, and then to help promote our fundraising efforts in the community. They also attend a monthly Redlands Service Club Council meeting, which helps us coordinate our community's event schedule and promote our fundraisers. They participate in the Redlands Community Foundation's leadership classes, which they offer, which help educate us and help us learn skills that are useful in service clubs such as ours. But then also, we're really just out in the community doing things that we love. Like tomorrow, I need to bake cookies for our local YMCA's holiday bake sale. We all usher at our summer music festival. Whenever we're doing that kind of stuff, we always make sure that we are doing them under the name of the AEUW brand. And of course, we do a lot of press releases. We have 2 local papers that are very apt to produce materials that we provide to them. Our press releases inform the community about a variety of topics, like announcing who our branch meeting speakers are, creating publicity around our fundraisers, announcing who our scholarship winners are, and of course, publicizing our annual membership meeting. And I will say that for the membership meeting, a number of the attendees said that they specifically decided to join the meeting because they saw something in the newspaper about it. We also have booths that we are holding at various events throughout the town throughout the year. And what's really nice from my perspective about those booths is that they're organized and managed by other sub-teams that we have organized, like our DEI committee does the Day of Dead booth, they do our Juneteenth booth, our book club had a Come Meet the Author Day, and of course all of those we do again under the Redlands brand. One of the nice things about that approach too is that I do think it's been helping us with our diversity goals in getting members that are a little bit outside of our standard age group, as well as ethnicities and backgrounds. So that's really good. I'm going to turn it over to Pam so she can talk about our relationship with the various local colleges and universities in our partnership program.
Okay, so what Amy has done has just been stunning. And Susan Bangasser and I are the college and university partnership co-chairs, and we have been fine for years, but this last year we fell into a bit of good luck and just wanted to tell you what happened to us so that you could take advantage of the same concept. We know that colleges, community colleges and four-year schools throughout the state have honors programs. And we contacted one of the honors program leaders in one of our partner schools, and just simply to recruit for volunteers for our STEM conference for 8th grade girls. Well, we got 3 or 4 volunteers, and one of our members immediately signed them up as student members, for which they have to pay $0 because they're students from the partnership school. And those young people got really involved with us, so that at the beginning of this school year, they recruited other people from their honors program to be members. In the meantime, at our second school, the University of Redlands, we just had a fortunate set of events that allowed us to recruit and enroll more members from that school. And because of that, we've been present on the college campuses, and we have been able to recruit volunteers again to help us with multiple projects, whether it's some of the community activities that Amy's talking about, or whether it is both of our STEM conferences. We just feel incredibly fortunate. And at that membership meeting that Marcia attended, we had all these young students, and one of them recruited her own mom to join as well. So we feel fortunate. We just feel lucky that this all happened to us. And one of the students even got involved with figuring out what messaging we should be passing out on campus. And the woman in black in this particular picture was just dynamite at saying, here's what AAUW can do for you as a student. We are just so impressed at being able to turn some of this recruitment over to the students themselves at this point in time. Whether we can maintain that or not, we don't know. But I want you to think about honors programs at your local colleges. That may help you out as well. Thanks.
Great. And although we're doing all this publicity and trying to make ourselves more visible in our community, admittedly, we have to remember that really our member referrals are the engine that drive the funnel that we use to recruit people. And so we paid a lot of attention to enabling our members to more easily invite other people to the membership meeting. So we had a little short invitation that they could send to friends who may have already heard about AEW, but we had a long invitation that they could send or hand out to people who have never heard about AUW before. And, we also were really effective of just reminding them to invite people, and saying at French is like, who are you going to invite? Who are you going to invite? And to remind them that whether they're going to their Pilates class, or they're going to their church, or they're asking their sister's brother-in-law's dentist, all of those people are possible recruits that could really be helping us with our mission. And then, of course, for those members, the 3 members who invite the most people to our branch meeting every year, we will give them the Shape the Future free memberships as kind of a reward for their commitment to inviting people and involving them in the branch. There are a lot of people who drift into us through our online website or through our email address, our generic address, and I get those. So whenever I get those, I, of course, reach out to them, and I usually do it in email. And I try to, although I know I'm cutting and pasting, I try to make that email look very tailored to each individual member, depending on what they've told me about why they're interested, why they're contacting me. Sometimes I Google them and find out, oh my goodness, this might be someone who's got great stature in our community, or maybe they're one of our local professors from the university. In any case, I talk to them certainly about our admissions initiatives, but I always make a strong effort at really promoting how fun it is to be part of the branch. And I like to also encapsulate for them my own experience, where when I first joined AUW about 10 years ago, I was working, and I worked a lot. And so really, I just joined to meet people in the book club. I had recently moved into town, and that was my main purpose. But now that I'm retired, the AE mission has become really one of my core pursuits. So my intent there is to share with them that really AEW is an extremely flexible volunteer opportunity where you can stretch or contract your amount of involvement, really depending on your schedule, so that they don't feel like they're making some huge commitment. But my advice really is, don't get discouraged. Just stay with it, because it might take a few months worth of email exchanges back and forth before somebody will actually jump in and join us at a branch meeting. But truth be told, if you can get them to the branch meeting, they're often hooked. And that was the case for this branch membership meeting. We took special pains to ensure that guests who came were welcome. And we did that by assigning a member to host each guest. So when someone walked in, instead of seeing a room of 50 people that they didn't know, what they saw instead was someone standing at the door with their name on it, with their name on a placard, so that they knew, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. And then, of course, we sat people with their hosts, and we really tried to build little relationships even during that meeting to get them their answers to their questions. We had tables around the room that they could visit to see each of our committee chairs or any of our interest group chairs and ask questions and find out about what their goals and objectives are. And of course, we had plenty of people set aside to take their completed applications along with their checks or credit card payments. So really, almost 70% of the guests that joined us that day actually joined the branch. But of course, now we've got 37 people to get processed and to really enable them to be successful within the branch. So after all of that effort was expended, how do we handle that? We have some very intentional actions that we have designed to build member loyalty. So for example, I have a business background in incentives and recognition programs for large corporations. And I know that 76% of US workers if they have close friends at work, they say it makes them more likely to remain with their employer. And Harvard Business Review quotes Gallup as saying that, if you can show that you have a best friend at work, it's strongly linked to increased retention. So really, we just try to apply that to our volunteer branch commitments. And we recruit members with our mission, but I think that we retain members by building friendships. So when someone joins, I send them a very warm email that gives them a lot of the logistical information about how they can participate in the branch. They soon receive a second email from our newsletter editor, and she sends it from the email address of the newsletters so that we can request that they add that address to their contacts list, so they're sure to be getting our communication. And then also we make sure that we are giving them all of our contact information with our yearbook and with a special sheet that lists out all of our committees and interest groups and who the chairs are, so that the flow of communications now can become two-way. We have new member orientations. We held 2 of them to accommodate the 37 members that joined. I would say that we had probably a good 80% participation with those. We have intentionally designed them to be much more casual and intimate so that people are very comfortable in answering any questions that they may have. We do an overview of a real quick overview of what our different committees are for, what the different scholarships and missions, how they all kind of tie into each other. And then in addition, we take headshots of the people so that we can put them online in our online directory. But I think that what was really effective for us this last round is that we didn't say this to them, but we really almost interviewed them. So we asked them specific questions, got into small group settings, asked them specific questions like, how would you like to participate? How much time do you have to contribute? And what skills can you bring to the branch? Do you know Excel? Do you know technology? Are you comfortable leading things? Or would you rather be someone who sits in the background doing mailings? All of that's welcome, but really in order to engage you, we need to know what you want to do. And that has really helped us get people onto the right committees so that they are meeting people quickly. And it's really our goal to empower them to feel like they're valued. One of the tools that we also use to bring people into the branch is our hospitality program. Our hospitality committee has a mentorship program. And throughout the year, this team is looking for members who are willing to act as a mentor to new members. Many of our new members just maybe have a couple questions, a phone call or two just takes care of it. But there are members who want to have someone meet them at a branch meeting or 2 or 3 branch meetings, sit by them, help them understand the content of the branch meeting and the context of it. Either way, we are happy to help, and we create those partnerships that will enable their success to happen. And when we're at our branch meetings, we kind of have an unwritten rule that you really need to watch out for any new members and help them feel welcome to the branch. So now recently we've restarted to do something we had done a while ago where each new member has a little ribbon on their name badge that actually says new member, so that people are conscious of, hey, I should go talk to that person. They kind of look like they're standing there by themselves. And then, of course, we also ask on our membership form what the new members are interested in. And so then I take that form and I send it out to all of the chairs of the different committees and interest groups, as well as our leadership team, to make sure that they add those people onto their email distribution lists, that they get invited. And we ask those chairs to also keep an eye out for those new members to make sure that they're comfortable. If they have any questions, they can handle them right then and there. And in addition, now, as we move forward, we're going to be asking, we have 3 members on our board that are considered members at large. And so we're going to ask them to start assessing, hey, are you seeing these new members at different activities that you're participating in? And report back to the board of where we might see some gaps so that we can reach out to those people specifically and make sure that we give them a phone call, ask them out for coffee, invite them to the next book club, whatever the case may be. As you certainly know, we have had the national group has kind of reorganized the renewal dates for our memberships. And so all of these people have memberships that are rotating every month throughout the year. So we've actually assigned a member who has volunteered to watch our rosters, see who's coming up for renewals, reach out to those people, hand them our little instruction sheet of the various ways that you can renewal. I noticed in the survey information that Marcia is going to be reviewing after me, how a lot of people just aren't comfortable renewing online or with the website. We have an old-fashioned, give us a check and we'll renew you process. So we want to make sure that it's easy for them. So how do we do all of this? Yes, our branch is large, and so there are a lot of hands to help do all the work. I don't do everything. We've got it kind of dispersed among a lot of people. But I really think that smaller branches should consider that, even doing 75% of something is better than really doing nothing and just being overwhelmed. So don't let yourself get overwhelmed. Know that it's one step every day, one more thing every day, and eventually you'll be looking back and realizing how much you've accomplished. I would suggest that you gather core members, you gather your leadership team for a brainstorming session, and really consider what are your priorities. So again, it's important to do just even a handful of things well, and then rather than spread yourself too thin and not really get anything substantial done. And I found that it's also really helpful to ask for your volunteers, but if you don't get them, ask specific people to own certain tasks, because you can just keep waiting for volunteers forever, right? And of course, everybody likes to be recognized for the efforts. And so we do try to celebrate our successes, mention teams that have done good things in our branch meetings, in our newsletters, with personal notes of thanks. So really, in conclusion, I'd like to say again, it's my opinion that it's really no one silver bullet for recruiting and retaining members. It's just done one step at a time, one bite at a time, one outreach at a time, one connection at a time, really one effort at a time. So, on behalf of our Redlands branch, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to present our story. Feel free to contact me here if you would like to have any of these ideas talked through further, or see any of the resources that I've mentioned. Thank you. And now let's take questions. I think, again, as a reminder, just go ahead and put them in the chat, and we'll get them organized here and answer them for you.
Okay. Thanks, Amy. Could you stop the sharing so we can see
There we
you
go.
and Joyce and Marcia? And then we had on Pam's. There's Pam. Pam's here. I add her. And Marilyn. Where are you, Marilyn? So Marcia or Sharon, you've got all the questions there.
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know which one of you would like to answer this question, but the question was asked, do your papers take your event postings for free, or is there a charge?
Free.
Free. Okay. So some organizations do have to pay, but you might consider, if it's a nominal charge, doing it anyway.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, and we aren't placing ads, we're doing press releases. So
Right.
sometimes you might have to submit things a couple times. And really, you have to build a relationship with the newspapers as well. And that's become helpful for us.
Okay, so the next question is, did your students attempt to form a student branch, or did they just join as e-student members because their colleges are college university partners?
They joined as student members because of the partnership. They have not, one of the things about community college is, since students are only there for 2 to 3, well, maybe 4 years, but not always, I don't expect a student branch, but for them to know each other, to be in classes together, and then to come to branch meetings or our hikes or DEI meetings together is actually really helpful for all of us. We benefit so much from their participation.
Great. So when and where do you hold your monthly meetings? Marilyn, maybe you want to answer that?
Yeah, we hold them at the University of Redlands. We have to pay for that, but they have let us use their big community room, and they provide the food. We pay them for that also, but it's been very helpful to be on the campus like that. And then because we have one of our STEM conferences there, we've always been able to have a lot of free things from them, because we do it during their spring break, and the rooms are all empty. But it's a good relationship for us to work with the University of Redlands.
And what day and time do you hold your meetings usually, your general membership meetings?
Well, it's either a Saturday morning, we have a 9 o'clock meeting and brunch at 9:30, and then our speaker and so on after that, or it's on a Tuesday evening at 5:30 and dinner at 6.
So
and
you
then-
alternate those
Yes, we
then?
alternate those.
Okay.
And that helps people who are working or have got kids and can't come to Saturday morning things because they're all at soccer games or baseball games or whatever.
Right.
But it seems to work pretty well.
Okay, and so let's see, Joyce, I think it is. Is your website professionally managed, or do you do it, or how does that work?
I don't believe it is, but I'm going to defer that question to Marilyn or Amy.
Okay.
It's done by members of our branch.
Okay, so you're not using Site Resources then to manage your website, are you?
No.
Yes. Well,
We are?
we're using the AAUW website infrastructure.
Okay.
The WordPress infrastructure, but then we're of course posting all of the content and managing it, and I noticed someone else's question about how do you take credit card payments. We take payments through a system called Square. And so like for our branch meetings, we have a link on our website to our Square platform, which enables me, I know that I want to go to Saturday's meeting, I can just pay for my meal on our website. And so that helps drive traffic to the website as well.
Okay, thank you. And let's see. One of the questions you had mentioned that you had like airport arrival signs held up with the names of every one of your guests coming to this event that Marcia attended. So how did you find out the names ahead of time?
They
so
have
that
to
you could do
RSVP.
those.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because we pay for their meals and we have to know how many seats that to save and how much food to have. So they have to RSVP.
Do your members have to then pay to attend branch meetings? You mentioned, Marilyn, that you have brunches and dinners.
Right. You can pay for those, or you can just come and listen to the speaker and just visit. You don't have to eat if you don't want to.
Oh, excuse me.
But
Okay,
most
so
people like to eat because that's when they visit with all their friends. So
sounds great. How often do you hold general membership branch meetings?
once a month, except for July and August.
Okay, and do you have branch name tags or badges or something like that?
Yes, definitely.
Okay,
Well,
there it goes. Okay.
that's a new member one, but the rest.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you have headshots in your yearbook. So you're doing your yearbook is your online directory, or what is your yearbook?
Two separate things.
Excuse
We
me.
have the online directory that is on our website, and that's what includes the photo. And it also includes name, phone number, email address, and what degrees the person has. But then we also have our hard copy online yearbook. Thank you. And you can tell that's mine. And that includes more information about like who are our who have been our past presidents, who are our honorary members, what days are our branch meetings, here's your leadership team, here are the different committees and interest groups that we've got in the organization.
Okay, thank you. So that's a delineation. The directory with the headshots and all of that information, is that password protected on your website?
Yes,
then?
absolutely.
Okay, great. And let's see, there was another question. Oh, how many members do you have? I think you mentioned you have 250 currently.
Yep, we just became 251.
Hallelujah, good for you. Okay, so I think that pretty much covers a lot of the questions. There were more questions about meeting for brunch or lunch, and you're mentioning that everyone pays individually for those.
Yes.
Now we're kind of hitting 80, 85 people coming to meetings now that we've had this new bump in members. I didn't look at this month's RSVP list yet to see how many we've had, but it's about 80 or so each month there.
Okay, so that was the next question. How many people typically go to a monthly meeting? And you have about 80 to 85 if either brunch or dinner?
Right.
Okay, and your dinner meetings start at what time?
They start at 5:30. We have a social hour for half an hour, and then it's at 6 o'clock that we start the meeting and eating.
And how many members are on your board?
Well, that's a
We
good
have
question.
quite a few co-people.
Okay,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13.
okay, and does that include your members at large that you mentioned?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
3 members at large.
Okay, and then does social media play any role in your recruiting?
You know, we do have an Instagram account and a Facebook account, and we right now are hoping that we can get some of these new members to be additions to our communications team, because I think that's where we could leverage an outreach to the community more is through our Facebook thing. I've even noticed credit here goes to, I can't remember the name of the woman Gail Swain, I think, who does the Facebook page for the online branch.
Mhm.
Because the other day I forwarded one of your postings so that I could be putting that among my friendship group too. So thank you for doing that. It helps us a lot.
Yeah, I was also a member of this committee, the Branch Development Committee. So where do you hold your meetings?
Redlands.
At the
Again, they're at the University of Redlands.
Okay, and that's where you have your brunches or dinners?
Yes, uh-huh.
Aha, okay. And how frequently do you have board meetings?
Once a month, except for August and December.
And are those also at University of Redlands?
No, they had been on Zoom or Teams as we have it now this year, but this year we're doing it at a local church that has facilities to have it videoed, and so people who can't make the meeting can still be at home and see it.
Okay, and how many towns do you cover? I mean, we're talking about Hemet, possibly the Hemet San Jacinto branch folding into yours, but are your members primarily from Redlands?
They're also from Highland and Loma Linda, Banning, Beaumont, Cherry Valley,
It's a long way
Couple of
out.
Riverside.
Yes, I'm from Riverside, Ukaipa. It's a big territory, and
Okay,
mhm.
okay. So I think we've covered pretty much all the chat questions. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, and if not, I'll turn the meeting back to Sigrid.
Okay. Okay, and the next thing we're going to hear from Marcia, and she is going to talk about the survey results from the non-renewing members. So we're going to take everybody else off spotlight. Marcia, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Let me try to get this. I need to change my view here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Too much technology.
Yes. Can you see the survey information that I have on the
Yes.
screen?
Mhm.
Okay, good. Excuse me. This last summer, we did send out a survey to all non-renewing members. There were around 2,000 of them who did not renew from February 2021, I believe, or 2022 until this last year. We only received 117 responses, and that, I'm not unhappy about that. This you can see 2,113 people were sent this. Just one second, I'm having trouble here. Okay, and so 173 were returned as undeliverable, and 118 responses were received. I'm pretty happy about that. When this was sent out to you yesterday, you can actually click in this area and it will show you the actual survey and the questions that were sent to those non-renewing members. So we're very fortunate that Sandy Gabe is able to do charts like this. I am not capable of that, but you can see that this gives you a really quick visual of what is your renewal status. Not renewed is in the blue. Those who did renew is in the red. And out of those 117 people, I believe we had about 20 or 21 people that did want to renew their memberships. And we reached out to the branches telling them about that. And they were able to connect with those people. Then we had a question, why did you decide not to renew your AAUW membership? And you can see these are a lot of the possible reasons. And let me see if I can make this bigger because it's hard to read it. But here you can see once again the visual, which I think is so incredibly helpful. Dues were too high. Renewal process was too difficult. Disagreed with some of AAUW's policies. Felt disconnected and uninvolved with my branch. Competing commitments and so forth. This one down here, the biggest, they moved away. So that was a very helpful thing to know. You can see how big that is. All of these people moved. And we had several families who responded to us that our members had died. And so that was helpful. And we were able to then not only correct our state records, but also send information to national that showed the person had passed away. Okay. What initially led you to become a member? And you can see these are pretty good things, recommended by a friend, or enjoyed branch programs, or attracted by the career network opportunities. And once again, believed in AAUW's mission seems to be a driving factor for why people want to become a member. What activities did you participate in at the branch level? The thing that I found remarkable, a lot of the people who did not renew had various responsibilities in the branch. They held branch, they were a branch officer, they were a committee chair, they were involved in all kinds of things. And here you can see there is, once again, they attended meetings, attended programs, and several even were branch newsletter editors, which I thought was pretty remarkable. What things did you enjoy as a member? And boy, this is, once again, we need to be thinking about that as branch leaders, helping spread the mission of AAUW, meeting other members and enjoying the social activities, using my skills to help my branch, making an impact on my community, my local community. And, you know, this last year, we've really been focusing on newly retired people who might become potential members. And it seems like being able to find a community, finding friends, but then also using those skills that they have developed over their careers or their lifetimes can really have an important part of being a part of AAUW. What would have made your time in AAUW more beneficial? And you can see here, I'm not going to read all these things to you, but here is the layout. Understanding my role better, feeling more connected to my branch. Now, what does that mean? And we probably need to think about that. Does that mean that they didn't feel seen? Were they not invited to participate? What was it about that? So this is some places where we can do some reflection in your branch boards and talking about the results of questions like that. Would you recommend AAUW in the future to friends and colleagues? Yes, no, other. Look at that. Yes, I will. Or no, that's not horrible. And maybe. And then may we contact you about rejoining AAUW? And of course, we give them a yes or a no. No, I'm not interested at this time. Yes, I may want to rejoin. And there it is. Now, I'm not going to go through this at all, but I do want you guys to look at this. This was sent to you yesterday. You did get it in an email, and you can dig deep. You can see here that every branch is represented on this list, and it shows how many did not renew from your branch. And then after the survey was sent, how many did renew. So this was really helpful, and it spurred a lot of conversation at the state level. And I'm hoping that as we continue to look at the reasons people want to be a part of AAUW, why do they want to become members? Why do they want to become leaders? What do they want to do to promote the mission of our organization? This survey, I think, was helpful. It's a snapshot. It's a one-time thing that we have sent out. I think we need to talk about what is the plan for future surveys, and your input on that would be very helpful. What kind of questions do you feel we should be asking? But I am really pleased with the fact that we have this very, I think, a very encapsulated result of how people felt. It's only 117 out of over 2,000 surveys that were sent out, but it still, I think, gives us a representation of those things that we need to be thinking about as AAUW leaders. Sigrid?
Thanks, Marcia. Does anyone have questions for Marcia? And Marcia, can you stop your share so we can see everybody? There we go.
Hi.
Are there any questions that I didn't see anything in the chat?
Sigrid, there was a question in the chat with regard to the Chamber of Commerce, going back to Amy and
Oh, yeah.
her
Okay.
team, that I'm sorry that I missed.
Go ahead.
And so it was asked that did they feel that chamber membership helped you recruit? And I know your branch, Sigrid, also has a chamber membership.
Yes.
So could one of you address that, please?
I think it has. The chamber in Redlands has both a monthly meeting that's more of a business meeting, but they also have a monthly mixer. And so you see a different mix of people attending those. And of course, we wear our AAUW name badges. And so people ask, well, what's AAUW? Or, hey, we saw you last week at the Juneteenth booth. Of course, we just start dialogues with people. We talk about our mission, our scholarships, and if they show any interest, we'll either invite them to a branch meeting or we'll, exchange business cards. We do have business cards. Avery, you can just buy business card stock and go onto the Avery website and create business cards for free. And so, the board probably each has like 10 cards that they just can hand out whenever they want. And so, yeah, I think that we do see some good interest from the community about as a result of our chamber membership.
The other question, I suppose, Amy, would be for you is how do you pay for your activities through the year?
It depends on what they are. So what I would say is, like, for example, we just applied for a grant and received it from a local, actually, I think it was one of our local casinos, and so we're going to use it to sponsor some Nick Whistle attendees. And then when we have our STEM conferences, as you can imagine, that's no cheap effort, right? You're paying for lunch for all of these girls. All of the speakers and the volunteers, of course, donate their time. But we'll go out into the community and we'll ask for sponsorships from local businesses. Last year we did something called Luna Fest, which was a film fest for, about, and by women. And so we specifically targeted going after local businesses that were women owned. And, we have various tiers of sponsorship that they can sign up for. And they would get certain benefits, like they'd get a couple of tickets if they were at the lowest tier. But they would get, a special page on the slide presentation about their business if they paid at a higher tier. And then, as we mentioned, we have our members pay for their own food for branch meetings. We inflate that price a little bit so that we can pay back the university for room rental and AV equipment usage. I don't know, Marilyn, if you'd have any other additional things to mention there, although you are on mute.
Marilyn, could you
Marilyn,
unmute?
you're on mute.
For the STEM conferences, it isn't businesses primarily that support us. It's other organizations like the Optimus And people like that, they give us a great amount of money every year to help out with the 8th grade girls, hopingly steering them into a STEM field. There's a couple of places in Banning and Beaumont that are housing for senior citizens, and one of them has a big charity board, and they make a lot of money by doing different activities, and they support the STEM conference that's in their area. And we've written grants for different places as well. So it's not as much businesses, though that would be nice.
Well, Optum has recently given a good donation. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good. And Esri gives us support with their AV stuff for the one in Redlands and so on. So,
And I think that there's some of it is a unique perspective too, where we just reinvigorated again an Adopt a Girl program.
right.
So we, members, anybody in the community can spend $35 and ensure, and like we'll assign, in a sense, to them a girl who is going to the conference specifically because of their donation.
Right. Yeah. So we will get money from a lot of different places, but this year we're looking to we can't do LunaFest anymore because that's out of business for us, but we are going to have a bridge scramble in March, and we're going to try and do another film fest later in the year so that we can bring in money for our basic mission projects. And we had a big boutique where we raised a lot of money for the scholarships for women returning to school after having been out for a while. Made a lot of money there.
Thanks.
So the question is, Sigrid, when we're recording this, I know we're recording the verbal, but are we going to have the slide deck available?
Yes. Amy
Okay.
is going to download it to the same location where you'll find the recording. Next to that will be the slide deck presentation.
Okay, and there was another question with regard to there was a comment that some people addressed they're not renewing because they felt AAUW was too political. Can you address that, Marcia, briefly?
Yes, of course. I kind of breezed through a lot of the reasons they did not renew, but that was kind of an important one. It wasn't, I would not say that it was off the charts big, but there were several responses. And if you dig into the verbal reasons that they did not renew, some people felt that they were being disrespected because of their political beliefs. They felt that they were not listened to, they felt unseen. There were people who would dismiss them, I guess is what I would say. And so there were quite a few responses that said we were too partisan. I think that we can have a political viewpoint because we do support at the national level. We take a stand with our DEI, with the things that we stand for, to promote equity and women's rights. All of those things are so important, but there can be different viewpoints about those things. And if we dismiss people who are in our branches because we don't agree with them, we won't see them again. And so I would really encourage you, and like I said, you were all sent the survey and all of its results yesterday. There was an email from me and it gave a summary, but then you can actually click and go into the survey and you will actually be able to look at a lot of those responses, verbal as well as the check the box, how people felt about their culture in their branch.
Thank you. Let me just mention that in response to a question, that the brunch that Redlands charges is typically $25 and dinner is typically $30, although their anniversary event they charged $35 because they said it was a nicer meal with including dessert. Bev Van Sitters has her hand up, and I know we have some other parts of this to continue with. So Sigrid, do you want to take Bev's question, please?
Get Bev, go ahead.
Thank you, Sigrid. I just want to get back to the membership question and the survey. Thank you so much, Marcia, for what you and your team have done. I think what's happened here is we're getting to see a model. Now, as you know, Glendale was faltering and we're back. We have 50 members and I'm happy about that. 4 that did not renew, and I wrote to each of them because, you know, I'm a survey maven. I love doing surveys. And I wrote to each of them and I heard from them. And one went into the fact that she felt that national, because I wanted to know, is this a branch issue or is it something out of our control? Very important information. And what she wrote to me, which I did not make public, was because I didn't have her permission, quite frankly. And what she said was, no, she was very upset with what was going on with the Supreme Court and some of the things that ended up happening. So she was very specific in it. Then I wrote back to her and I asked, is there anyone or anything that happened within the branch that we could do better, that you felt you were disrespected or that you weren't heard? She said, absolutely not. And then we had this conversation going, please, at some point, please come back, try us, you know, we welcome you no matter what, because we're all different. We would welcome you. And I think that's something in terms of leadership. And Marcia, I think this is a great model that all of the branches could look at to take some of those questions from that survey. And I would add the word other in a few of those others so that we can have them be specific on what it is that they're talking about politically, because some of the responses were quite general. But I think that this is really important information if we really want to get and find out where is the issue. And I was happy to know it was not with, well, for this person it wasn't. The other one, yeah, it was in the branch, which we're addressing. But I think it's important information. And as the leader and as the president, we just have to say, hey, suck it up, Buttercup, and let's move on and let's just welcome you back.
Mhm.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Marcia.
Bev.
Thanks,
Thank
Bev.
you, Bev. That was a great comment.
There are
Yeah.
a couple more things in the chat that I think are important to note. And that is that we are not partisan, but we are not values neutral.
Absolutely.
And so speaking to the issue of partisanship or not being heard, we need to make sure that people understand that we do have specific values that collate with our mission.
Right.
And there was another question that, Marcia, I think would be significant in your point of view. Did we think that the membership requirements of a degree, of an associate degree, significantly limit our pool of great members that would support both our activism and overall mission, especially as we look at the data on the population of those with degrees in particular? So I'm sure that's going to come up again, but Marcia, how do you feel about that?
Oh my goodness, that is an electrically charged question. There are strong feelings on both sides, and I have heard from many members who said, if you are going to do away with the degree requirement, I'm done. And then I have other people in the organization who say, yes, but this person went through an executive training course for like American Express or something for a year, and they rose in the ranks there, but they didn't have a college degree. So what I am struggling with, and maybe I just don't see the world as black and white. That's my being an English teacher, there's nothing black and white. But I really do believe that this is a bigger conversation than my opinion. I think this is something that we need to really have a deep, heartfelt conversation with our members in our branches, maybe at the state level, but I don't think this question is at my pay grade to be working.
Okay, and so
Marcia?
speaking of that,
Yes.
Sandy Gabe, our state president, has raised her hand about this topic. So Sandy, do you want to take the floor?
I would like to address the question. I think this is the first survey or feedback that we've gotten where we had members say, I'm leaving because we have not removed the degree requirement. So I think we're starting to see a shift in our membership of people appreciating that you can be interested in and supportive of rights for women without having a degree. So I think that's a shift that we're seeing, and the board will be talking about this at our January meeting as we look at the fact that there's going to be the membership requirement discussion or vote on the national election next year. So the board will be discussing whether we want to take a stand as a board. The last time this came up, the last board, and I have to say it's a different composition of people on the board today, but last time this came up, the board was supportive of removing the degree requirement. So we'll see what happens there. But we are starting to see people say this is getting in our way of getting members. I think the survey is not really the place to look for that information so much because these are people who chose not to join the organization or rejoin the organization. And I just want to comment about the small number. So we sent out a couple of thousand, and it would be lovely to have a very high percentage of people who respond. But the reality is that these people chose to go away. So that we got anybody to respond at all is a positive thing, and I think that's what Marcia was reflecting on, the fact that we got any information from this group, because typically if somebody makes the decision not to re-engage with the organization, they typically hit the delete key when they get our survey. So we expected that, and we fully anticipated that a lot of people would just say no, but we did feel that the comments that we got back were valid and that we should take them into account. And I think one of the things that are not under our control, people dying, moving, those sorts of things, to be able to differentiate that from people, there were quite a few comments, if you look through the survey, that said that people felt like that their feelings or their concerns were not being addressed. And I think I just want to make a shout out to the Redlands branch. You guys did an amazing job tonight of pulling together how you approach getting new members. Your results were fantastic. Your materials were well thought out and really clear and easy to follow. And I want you to all apply for a board position next year.
Please.
No, it's because I think your feedback and your way of engaging your membership is really valuable. And I think that's something that we can use at the state level. So I just wanted to make a shout out, Amy, to you and your team. I think it was a great job.
Yes.
Thank you, Sandy. And something else that I want to respond to with regard to a question, Marcia had mentioned that we were aiming to find newly retired people and people who are soon to be retiring. We are having a very robust social media campaign. We are the recipients of Google advertising. We at AAUW California have gotten grants from Google for advertising. Our fantastic organization, but we are also paying for ads aimed at educators on LinkedIn. So those are a couple of the ways that we at the state board are working to help you all in recruiting members.
Sandy, did you have anything you wanted to add about our ad campaign?
Sure, I can just say that we're just 30 to 45 days into our LinkedIn ad campaign. We actually have a meeting later this week to look at those results. And we are trying to reach out to educators, because educators, as you all are aware, we have focused on student population at the colleges and universities. Well, that's great, and frankly, those students are sort of transitory, right? They're going to go off someplace else. They may or may not stick. And it's important to engage them, but there's a whole population of educators that are out there that generally have a degree. We don't have to have that awkward conversation about if you have a 2-year degree or not. So they fit the bill. They tend to have the values that we have in our organization. So our LinkedIn campaign is definitely targeting educators. And if you read the last board-to-board message, you know that we have a special landing page for them. We've done some work on our side to try to embrace that population. So we're starting to look and see if we're getting any results from those members. The challenge that we have is that, as you're all aware, National doesn't collect some of the data that would be helpful for us. So they don't collect gender, they don't collect any demographic or very much demographic information. So we don't even know the age of our members because it's not collected. And it's really difficult for us to make a connection between whether somebody looked at our ad and then joined, because there are a few steps in between them looking at an ad and then actually joining. So that's going to be something that's challenging for us. We may reach out to you and ask you to consider, as members join, finding out how they found out about us so that we can see if our advertising is effective at all.
Thanks.
Okay.
And Sigrid, there's one more thing I'd like to read in the chat, and then I'm going to turn it back over to you all.
Okay.
This is a quote. "We have immigrant populations who can't prove their achievement or of their degree. Also, there are many people who don't have a degree because of the very barriers that we are fighting against: gender bias, finances, lack of childcare, etc." So that is a crucial piece of information.
Yeah, and that's a DEI issue too.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
how do we blend all of those things together to be relevant and accessible for all of our community?
So it will be coming up again. Pay attention.
Yes,
We'll
exactly.
be letting you know where the state board stands.
Okay. Before we go to the best practices, which some of you sent in, and we're going to review those in a few minutes, I wanted again to thank Amy, Pam, Marilyn, and Joyce. You did a wonderful job, very professional and very helpful. And I know everybody will want to review your presentation on our website. But thank you again for stepping up, because it's a great story and you guys did a wonderful job.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Give
much.
them a round of applause.
Takes a
Okay.
village.
Well, you have a big village. That helps. Okay. So we did ask you to send in your best practices for recruiting members, and we did get 5 responses. So I asked Marcia to just quickly go through those and share them with everybody. I want you to send in your best practices for recruiting new leaders for our January meeting, but we'll be sending you an email about that, and it'll also appear in the December board to board. So watch for that information. So Marcia, you want to quickly go over the ones we did
Sure.
receive?
Yes, this is from Healdsburg, and Janice Sexton wrote that they are able to attract new members through their social activities. They have 2 weekly hiking groups and a quarterly happy hour. I think I'd like to join them on their happy hour. That sounds fun. Mission Viejo, Saddleback Valley. This is from Karen Dennis. And they have a really success around their Tech Trek celebration, which is followed by a social time, and they all sit in a large circle with members, and it sounds like Tech Trek girls and their parents, and they ask a lot of questions. And some of the questions for the members are, why did they join? Or benefits of being a part of AAUW. Very simple questions and effective. And out of that, several parents of Tech Trek girls have decided to join because these members' testimonials were very compelling. West Contra Costa branch, Christine Hills wrote that She's discouraged on the topic of how to get new members. However, they do have booths during the 4th of July and other events. People do seem to express interest but are not enthusiastic enough to join. But then once again, Tech Trek parents seems to be the way that they're able to get new members. And so I think that, and she's hoping that GovTrek will have the same effect. Terry Hausman from Amador Branch is really into scholarships, and they are geared toward upper division, graduate, and reentry students. They reach out to high school counselors and stay in touch with many of their college students that way. It's an agricultural committee, and so they do have a Miss Amador scholarship pageant. She was very quick to tell me there are no bathing suits in this pageant, but it sounds like it's based on academics, and they provide free student memberships to the 5 pageant entrants for 1 year with the hope that they would remember us in later years for scholarships. And the final best practice was from the North Tahoe branch, and they just really believe in personal contact by an existing member, reaching out to new members. And I think we heard that from the Redlands branch tonight, that they really work on mentoring those new members who have interest in the branch. So all of you have the opportunity to submit your best practices that work in your branch to attract new members. And we are all ears on our committee to hear from you. You will become rock stars if you send in your best practice to us.
Thanks,
So I
Marsha.
have a comment that I know the Morgan Hill branch had people who were very interested in both climate and social justice, but it didn't seem to fit the parameters of an interest group. They called them action groups, and that terminology seemed to recruit a number of members for their branch, certainly the younger demographic that were more interested in those 2 topics. So maybe pay attention to the words you use. When we did a survey last year, 2 years ago, with our advertising firm that we've been using, and they commented that the word advocacy resonates well with a slightly younger demographic than the terms public policy.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Very interesting. Thanks, Sharon. That's
Yeah.
a good tip. Okay, well, thank you all for joining us this evening and staying with us through the whole program. You can get any information you want about our branch development committee in the monthly B2B, which will coming out early in December, and also at our website. And you can contact us by sending emails to branch-development-com@aauw-ca.org. And thank you very much for being with us tonight. And we hope to see you in January and have a very happy holidays while we're away. Thanks very much, everybody. Good night.